Ah, hello. You don't look hollow, far from it. I am Solaire of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son. You find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that look all the time.
Have you met that sunbathing Solaire? Believe me on this one, bruv. He's a complete idiot. But he happens to be an awfully strong idiot. So just nod your head and keep him on your side.
I will stay behind to gaze at the sun. The sun is a wondrous body, like a magnificent father. If only I could be so grossly incandescent. I was just pondering about my poor fortune. I did not find my own son, but I cannot give up. I became undead to pursue this. What if I am seen as a laughingstock, as a blind fool without reason? I suppose they wouldn't be far off. Why? After all this searching, was it all a lie? Have I done this all for nothing? What now? What should I do? My son. My dear, dear son.
In the land of Lordran, rarely is there one we might describe as hopeful, one who can see above the wreckage of this dying world, one that can harbor determination and positivity to keep them moving forward. Hope is a rare commodity when death is unending and sanity hangs by a thread. Like humanity, hope is a rare find and therefore must be cherished and protected at all costs. Unfortunately, hope is delicate and it can break and wither from the soul when it's put to the test far too many times. As we gaze up at the sun, perhaps it could shine bright on the friends we can rely on. Solaire teaches us that hope is not found in prophecy or fate, but rather in each other. We are the sun. Hi everyone, and welcome to a new series that discusses why Dark Souls 1 still matters. This series aims to keep the interest for this game going. With newer releases that expand on the Souls formula from Software, it is important to remember its earlier roots in order to help us appreciate how far these games have come and remember simpler times. DS1 is my personal favorite of the Dark Souls trilogy for many reasons I hope to share with you all in this series of videos. Kicking things off in this first video, we will be taking a look at Solaire, arguably the most influential character in the series and perhaps in all of From Software Souls games and spin-offs. So let's find out why Dark Souls 1 still matters through Solaire specifically and how he ties into the themes of hope present in Dark Souls. Solaire is likely to be the first well-intentioned character we come across when arriving in Lordran after leaving the Undead Asylum. By then, the Chosen Undead has met some characters like the Crestfallen Knight or the male Undead Merchant who are pessimistic about the state of Lordran and their place in this forgotten kingdom. Solaire can be found at one end of the large bridge that runs along the Undead Bird. Here he is gazing up at the sun before turning to the player to converse with them. The initial conversation is a friendly one, where he extends his aid to you to be summoned for future boss encounters, such as the Bell Gargoyles, the Gaping Dragon, and Ornstein and Smough. He tells you to look out for his summon sign and also gives you the white soapstone, which can be used to create your own summon sign. Solaire also conveys his goal and aims for being in Lordran. He is searching for what he calls his very own sun. He is a warrior of sunlight with an upstanding and unwavering faith according to the description of the Sunlight Talisman. As a warrior of sunlight, he has adorned his armor with holy symbols that he painted himself. His armor is of high quality but does not possess any holy enchantments like other members of other practices of faith might have. Solaire is by all accounts a self-made warrior with no additional tricks up his sleeve through special equipment. The search for his very own son takes him all over Lordran. He, like us, will follow the path to Anor Londo, the city of the gods, to the very depths of Lost Izalith. Depending on the actions and interactions the Chosen Undead has with him, Solaire will either go insane with his search or presumably link the fire in his own world. Solaire's goal of finding his own sun is what keeps him going throughout the events of Dark Souls. He believes that this sun is likely to hold the answers or wisdom of sorts. He claims that this search was the reason for him becoming undead in the first place. His very own sun could be seen as a representation for the feeling or pursuit of hope in a land that is completely hopeless. Solaire does not share any information on linking the fire in his own world or if the prophecy has chosen him in any significant way, despite making it as far as the chosen undead we play as. His focus is solely fixed on finding this sun that is either literal or figurative. The literal sun that shines over Lordran is clearly not the one he is looking for. This is indicated by his dialogue that states, "But I cannot give up. I became undead to pursue this. But when I peer at the sun up above, it occurs to me, what if I am seen as a laughingstock, as a blind fool without reason?" His dialogue here indicates that when he looks up to the sun, it is not the one he is searching for, likely because it is not, quote, his own sun. He refers to his goal as his very own sun and not the sun. He searches everywhere for his sun with no luck. The times where he does potentially find what he is looking for is dependent on the outcome that befalls him. For most playthroughs, Solaire will likely go mad looking for his own sun in Lost Izalith. One of the sunlight maggots will latch onto his head where it projects a small beam of bright light. The strange light it produces is likely what Solaire believes to be the sun he was searching for, though this is more likely due to his desperation to find anything remotely resembling the sun or the brilliance he hopes for. On the flip side, if he is saved from his insanity through a number of different methods, he will still be exhausted with his search when found in Lost Izalith. His dialogue states, "Was it all a lie? Have I done this all for nothing? Oh, my dear son, what now should I do? My son, my dear, dear son." This hopelessness he is projecting here indicates the sunlight maggot is not the sun he is looking for when of his own right mind and not insane. From here, he can be summoned to fight Gwyn and presumably link the flame in his own world since he had made it as far as the chosen undead we play as. Linking the fire as indicated by the end cutscene results in the fire enveloping the player and the entire kiln of the first flame. The cutscene ends with a large bright light, brighter than any source of light or the sun itself as it is shown in Lordran. This could be suggested that linking the fire was the sun of Solaire's own that he was looking for, whether or not he knew it. Although the very nature of what Solaire's sun is physically or literally is not as important as what it potentially represents. Ultimately, what Solaire's very own sun could represent is the idea or concept of hope. It is the one thing that keeps him going, and it works for him since he is the only other undead character that we encounter that presumably linked the flame or could link the fire in his own world. The hope he has surpasses any powerful enchanted or imbued weapons and equipment. No other character makes it as far, nor do they even come close. He is one of the few characters whose madness can be prevented and isn't relegated to stay in one location, such as Firelink. While the Warriors of Sunlight's orthodoxy is not completely known, they are mostly focused on helping other people from other worlds facing challenges. For all intents and purposes, the Warriors of Sunlight are people of faith. As indicated by the Sunlight Talisman description again, Solaire is one of many who are said to have unwavering faith. It can be inferred that the Warriors of Sunlight Covenant is not faith in a god or system of beliefs, but of faith in each other. It is the faith in others and trusting in them that keeps the Covenant going, as Solaire does for you. Solaire offers you a chance to join for no payment necessary. He does not sell miracles, but rather you offer sunlight medals in order to receive miracles associated with the Covenant. These medals are just simply tokens received from helping someone else in their time of need. In addition, Solaire's demeanor is completely friendly and understanding, whereas many other characters take several interactions to warm up to you moving forward, a trend common in the Souls series. Solaire and the Warriors of Sunlight are the embodiment of hope through this lens. They place their hopes on you as you would for them when summoning them. Theirs is the faith of hope itself, the hope that others can be helped to push onwards. the hope that more will join out of their own want to help others, thus making the world that much brighter. After praying at the altar of sunlight, Solaire will say, "Exhilarating, is it not? The power of the sun. I am blessed to have found such a brave companion." Here his beliefs are revealed in that he put his faith or hopes into you, and you joining the covenant fulfills his beliefs as a member himself. Solaire and the Warriors of Sunlight are some of the few bright spots, pun intended, in Lordran. Most would rather kill you and take your souls or humanity, or use you to do their dirty work. When looking at Solaire and his covenant, it gives the player hope. It gives them hope that people in this world can be kind and willing to lend a hand. On the reverse end of the spectrum, we as the player have no hope. The chosen undead, especially before learning of their significance to a prophecy, is completely hopeless. They need tasks in order to feel an imitation of hope, such as leaving the asylum, ringing the bells, reaching Anne Orlando, etc. While one might argue that hope is what keeps us going, as the player character, there is something to be said about the fact from a narrative perspective we have to be told about the goals or tasks we must fulfill in order to press on. This isn't necessarily hope, but rather being guided by a prophecy that is ultimately a lie or failsafe to keep the Age of Fire going. The prophecy works to give us a false sense of purpose rather than of hope to put an end to the troubles of the world. These models are more structured as commands, especially when looking at characters like Frampt and Koth, the primordial serpents. These tasks are presented by them as fate, when in reality we are being played as part of a system set up to sacrifice or use undead to their own ends. With this comparison in mind, Solaire is the only character guided by hope in its truest sense. While his pursuits may be foolish or strange, he is still driven by only his hope, free of specific tasks commanded of him under the guise of fate or purpose. This ultimately shows the comparison of prophecy versus hope/faith, and that they are not one and the same. The chosen undead is not put in a position to hope for anything, since they are at the command of either primordial serpent, depending on the route they choose. When interacting with Solaire, we see hope firsthand. We see that trusting in the strength of others is the only thing to hope for in any of the Dark Souls games. We see the legacy of this covenant being shown throughout all games, with similar visual representations through the sun symbology and the sunlight altar, and not to mention the famous Praise the Sun gesture. Solaire, his legacy, and the legacy of the Warriors of Sunlight are the only shreds of hope in this series that can be found. When facing a challenging enemy or boss, we hope to see that golden summon sign. We as players hope we can call upon others who might make our journey much more manageable. As Warriors of Sunlight, we hope to bring joy to someone else so that their journey can continue forward and that we have helped them cross a boundary that once seemed insurmountable. Hope is not the ambition to reach the end of the journey, but rather to put our faith in the idea that there are others like us, struggling to get through, or there are others that have made it just a bit farther than us, making those obstacles seem a bit less daunting if someone else can make it through. We even see hope in the fandoms that tread the same steps as we do. We don't know that other person we catch a glimpse of, and we likely never will. But simply knowing that they are there with us worlds away gives us hope, and we have Solaire to thank for that. Hope is the friends we make along the way through jolly cooperation. For many of us, Solaire was the very first friend we made in the Souls series. If you have any additional thoughts on the concept of hope present in Dark Souls or the series as a whole, feel free to leave a comment below. Who are the characters that make you feel hopeful and why? Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video on a game that many people have probably moved away from. There are so many concepts to discuss, and I can't wait to continue sharing them with you all. If you like this sort of content on Souls, out-of-the-box theories and ideas, or my commentary on other video game franchises, please consider subscribing to the channel, as well as sharing this video or liking this video. Every little bit is greatly appreciated. Take care, and I hope to see your golden summon sign very soon in the next one. Praise the sun.
You really are fond of chatting with me, aren't you? If I didn't know better, I'd think you had feelings for me. Oh no, dear me, pretend you didn't hear that.